I want to start off by reminding everyone that the pandemic is not over. And since it's not over, that means that we have to continue to practice those things that around education and prevention, particularly with the opening of our economy and the opening of social contact. And there's going to be more and more cases as a result of that, and potentially more deaths associated with those cases. So I want to, again, remind people that the pandemic is not over. Now, as we mentioned earlier, I forget a few weeks back, we were developing a Restart CLE program that was really designed to stop or to relieve the burden and the suffering on people and businesses, particularly small and medium-sized businesses. So as a result of that, we developed several programs, and we received some CARE dollars, and we put some of our money in matching that or contributing to that to come up with several types of programs. And it was, again, designed to deal with the immediacy of the suffering of people and the immediately the suffering and burden that businesses had to bear as a result of the pandemic. So I will have both directors talk to you about that because now we're at the phase of identifying who will be awarded certain contracts to perform certain responsibilities and duties. But as you know, during this time, we have suffered another event that has also had significant impact on our social economic system, and that is the civil unrest that occurred a little while ago. And much of that, particularly downtown, resulted in the damaging of properties and small businesses. So we've developed another program to assist those business owners and to help them as they have incurred costs to get past this moment so that they can begin to get back into their business mode and begin to provide the goods and services that they were providing. So I will turn it over to Director Menez, who will lead off, and then Director Ebersol from Economic Development will follow. Director.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's great to have this opportunity this morning to speak, or this afternoon, I guess now, to speak to the CARES Act funds and the process that the city has gone through to award the funds today. In April, Housing and Urban Development notified the City of Cleveland that we would have $19,416,728 to support the efforts that Mayor Jackson just spoke of. We spent some time looking at United Way data and talking to our partners as well as to City Council to understand that we needed to focus on the basic needs of our citizens, that food delivery, senior services, rental assistance were the things that most needed to be addressed to deal with the immediate suffering from the coronavirus. A plan was put together in May that was part of the Restart CLE plan that the mayor put together and that was shared with council. On May 13th, the department issued an RFP, one for rental assistance, one for basic needs, for housing with people with AIDS, and for homelessness support. And on May 27th, we received 54 proposals for those funds. And at that point, city departments and subject matter experts in the community came together to review those proposals and to provide recommendations to the mayor's office. And we're excited today to share with you that we've made decisions on how we can apportion those funds. $19,360,000 and $19,360,350 across 47 proposals. Food and food delivery will be $629,975. Senior services at $510,074. utility assistance at $1,183,078, broadband assistance at $500,000, homelessness and HIV/AIDS support at $3,282,691, referral services at $1,338,058, and then the largest program meeting the largest need is rental assistance at $11,300,000. The agencies that will be awarded funding will be notified this afternoon and tomorrow with the expectation that we'll be able to provide services to our residents by mid-July. And I look forward to taking questions after Director Ebersol covers the economic development proposals.
Thank you, and good afternoon. As part of the Restart CLE initiative, the Department of Economic Development is currently taking applications for 3 programs right now to help assist our small businesses with the challenges posed by the coronavirus pandemic. The first program is the Emergency Working Capital Loan Program. That is a $10,000 loan program with no payments until next year that can be used to support working capital needs for our small businesses. We announced the initial 113 awards under that program several weeks ago. We're currently working with those clients now and getting contracts out to them and getting that funding moving. In addition, we've also launched 2 additional programs which we're taking applications for. The Impacted Business Fund for the Emergency Working Capital Program allows certain types of businesses, restaurants, retail businesses, barbershops, hair salons, and personal care service businesses to apply for an additional $20,000, a portion of which is forgivable for investments that are going to be made in personal protective equipment and other health and safety changes to business operations that those businesses will have to make as a result of adapting to the coronavirus situation. And then the Restoration Working Capital Program provides loans of up to $100,000 for small businesses to help provide them with some additional working capital for their needs as they try to get back operating again. We know that all types of businesses had to change their operations, had to reduce operations over the past few months, and as they are getting going again, we want to make sure that they have the capital they need so that they can get operating and continue to do so successfully. Pivoting now to the program we put together as a result of the civil unrest of a couple weekends ago. The department is going to be working with and has been working with our partners, the Downtown Cleveland Alliance, the Greater Cleveland Partnership, Cuyahoga County, to help develop and do outreach to our small businesses who were impacted by that program. And we're going to continue to work with our partners as we bring this program out to the market. But the program that we're putting together will provide small grants to these businesses to help them with some of the costs that they're having to incur to repair some of the damage that was done, to replace inventory that may have been lost or damaged, and repair or replace equipment as well within their businesses that they need to reopen. The program will provide grants of up to 25% of the damages that were incurred by these businesses that they're going to have to go out and replace, up to a total of $25,000. For smaller businesses with smaller amounts of damage, up to the first $20,000, you can get a grant of $5,000 for your business to help get started. We're trying to help fill the gaps that insurance doesn't cover so that these businesses can be made whole and can get back to operating quickly and successfully. So we'll be rolling out those applications early next week and look forward to working with our partners in our business community to get the money out the door. So with that, I guess we're ready for questions.
Questions?
Now we will move into the Q&A portion of the press conference. Here are a few things you should know before we get started. Just a reminder, you will need to dial 10 to be entered into the Q&A queue. Then the system will let you know when you've been unmuted to ask your question. So please be sure to proceed your question with your name and outlet. Please stand by while we move into the Q&A portion.
Your conference is now in question and answer mode. To Hi, this is Mark from 3 News. Two-part question. How many businesses do you anticipate have been affected by the civil unrest? Where is the money coming from to pay for those grants? And then how do those main numbers look like for revenue to the city? Because April, as you know, you told us was down 12 million. Thank you.
I'll let Mr. Eversole answer the question around how many businesses were affected. The money is coming out of, I believe, our general fund, and we are making that part of the cost as we made part of the cost for the pandemic. We're making this just part of the cost of operating government in order for us to provide assistance. Where we are in terms of our revenue and cost, the cost has gone up because of the civil unrest, and revenue still remains stagnant because people were not able to reopen at the pace that we had anticipated when the governor allowed for businesses to reopen. But Mr. Eversole, do you know the number of businesses impacted?
Yes, there were about 75 businesses that have, so far, we've been in contact with that have provided some information on the impact from the weekend's events.
Thank you. And exactly, though, how much was revenue down in May? You have that figure. It was 12 million in April. When was it like in May?
Ask the question again, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. Do you have a figure in on how much revenue was down in May?
Oh, in May, we're analyzing that now. I had a meeting with the finance director, I think it was yesterday or Tuesday, and we're analyzing it now because, you know, May's number really reflects the activity of April. And so the activity of May, meaning the economic activity and the revenues of May won't really be available until later, but we will give you as much as we know to date in the near future. But it is down. It is down. It's down because of, again, the May activity report the May report is really activity of April. And as you know, that was in the heart of the pandemic when things were pretty much shut down.
Thank you.
You have 3 questions remaining. Hi, Mayor. This is Peggy Dowd with Fox 8.
Yes.
Hello. I was talking to several business owners who said they had not been contacted by you or anybody from the city about this glitches that they had heard, and they wanted to know what you're doing and how.
Well, again, can you repeat who it is that you're talking to? I didn't get the first part.
Okay, we talked to several business owners downtown.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That have been they got a lot of damage during that.
Right. Well, what is happening, as the director said, we just finalized the program. I think I was briefed on it Tuesday, and we just finalized it. And now the outreach part will begin. And we're working with the Downtown Alliance and others who would have, other organizations who would have more direct contact with those businesses. But part of us rolling this out in this way is to let those businesses know, those 70-something businesses know that we do have, we have developed a program and that they can outreach to us, or we can go through the Downtown Alliance, which we normally do, or we'll outreach to them. But this is really the rollout of it. So yes, we have not had that kind of contact with those businesses because we're now just rolling it out.
Thank you. You have 3 questions remaining.
I'm Mayor Scott Knoll from News 5.
Yes.
This topic calls both locally and nationally for for major police reform, including
Right.
possibilities of defunding the
Right.
police department. Is that something you support? And if not, what sort of tangible things can the community expect to see in the ways of police reform?
Well, first of all, having a complete understanding of what defunding police departments mean, I think that goes across the board. So understanding what people mean by that would be important for me to be able to respond. But if it means what it on its face it implies that you just defund, we're not going to do that. That is not going to happen. But that being said, if it's also incorporated in that notion is that there be a reform in police department that would better guarantee that the use of excessive force, particularly deadly force, is not used. We've been in that for a few years now under the consent decree, and we can gladly go through what those things that we've done from training, whether it's constitutional training, use of force training, bias-free policing, crisis intervention training, those kind of things. We've also, as I've heard the national discussion around reform in police departments in regards to, let's say, chokehold. Well, we, even before the consent decree, never allowed a chokehold. And that was against general police orders and all of what and we would hold people accountable for that. The other thing that we were doing even before the consent decree that I've heard in the national discussion was if a police officer is doing something and is obviously wrong, and there are other police officers there who are witnesses, they have a duty and obligation to intercede and prevent that. If they do not, then they can get put up on charges the same as the person who is doing it, the police officer doing it, even though they may not have done it because they did not prevent that. I've also heard discussion around body cameras, and we instituted body cameras, and we, as you know, y'all ask for it all the time. You get the footage, and so there are many other things that I've heard on a national level that people are talking about doing that we're already engaged in doing, and a significant part of that reform effort is around what people are calling, we call it community engagement, other people call it community policing, the developing the relationship between the police and the community. And then a final thing that I've heard is around recruiting people to go into the police academy who are more reflective of the community they serve and also have some urban experience. And as you know, just, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or so, let me finish this part and I'll gladly do the follow-up. Like 3 weeks or so, we graduated about 72 cadets. At least half of those were minorities, and a significant number of the entire amount were females. And so our recruiting effort we instituted is part of the reform also to address the community awareness kind of thing that has to be done to have proper policing.
But what would you say to a community that says, look, here we are 5 years into a consent decree and we don't feel like enough has been done and nothing's changed yet?
Well, I don't think they may be reflecting that in regards to the national debate, and I believe on the national debate, they're absolutely right, because I've lived through everything from the Huff riots up to the current thing and everything in between. And all you have to do is change the city's name or change the incident that would happen and all that. You get the same thing warmed all over again. So there's an ongoing need to eliminate institutionalized biases, racism, inequities, and disparity. So I happen to agree with them that this is just an ongoing discussion. And the only question is what's going to happen different in this discussion as they debate it, as opposed to what's happening in the past, because we continue to go through it. And so I would agree with that. But in terms of what Cleveland is doing, Cleveland has made significant strides and has been recognized on the strides that we've made, and people are basically looking at Cleveland and say, well, how did you do this and how did you do that?
But yet there are still concerns in the community that more needs to be done.
There's always more that needs to be done, man. I'm telling you, that's what I'm trying to tell you, that racism still exists. This stuff is institutionalized. This is an institutionalized racism, and it still exists. And it's institutionalized inequities and disparities. It still exists. There's always more to be done. And anybody who believes that they've done enough, or they have sufficient, done it sufficiently, are mistaken. And we're not claiming that even in the city of Cleveland, even though we have done more than others. We fully recognize that it needs to be done, because this is institutionalized stuff.
So what does the conversation look like now with the Division of Police as far as making changes, concrete?
Well, what I'm saying to you, we've made concrete changes. We're under a consent decree, and we have a pretty good relationship between the Department of Justice, our monitoring team, and the federal judge, who monitors us on a daily basis sometime based on what issue comes up. And you can be assured that since we've had this national social unrest, that the look of the Department of Justice and the monitoring team and the federal judge is really focused on what we are doing and what we have left to do.
So are there any plans to institute new programs or cut some police funding and put some of that money?
We're not going to defund the police, because when you get robbed, you're gonna want the police. If you're getting assaulted, you're gonna want the police. If your house is broken into, you're gonna want the police. The issue is, how do the police behave when they come to an incident, and whether or not they behave professionally, constitutionally, or do they use force in a non-excessive way? That is the whole issue.
Are you comfortable with the behavior of Cleveland police as it stands now?
I'm comfortable that we're making progress.
You have 2 questions remaining.
Hi, everybody. This is Nick Distel from WCTM Idea Stream. Thanks for making time to do this. I had a question about the working capital assistance for this related to pandemic assistance. That first round of assistance, about half of it went to businesses in just 2 wards, in Ward 3 and Ward 6. Now, I know that those wards have got a lot of businesses, a lot of storefronts and retail. But in these next rounds of assistance, do you think the city needs to do more or do anything different to make sure that you're getting money to businesses in neighborhoods that have less investment than your downtown and your west side?
Well, what you, and I'll let the Economic Development Director answer the question also, but where you have a concentration of businesses that were impacted is in the downtown area and on the near west side. It was a heavy concentration of businesses. You go into many of the neighborhoods that are more residential in makeup, you don't have the same level of storefronts and business district as you do on West 25th or downtown. So what it's doing is really reflecting where business opportunities are, where there's concentration of those business opportunities. We can go into Detroit Shoreway, and there are significant concentration there. We can go up in Larchmere, and there's significant concentration there. We're going to Shaker Square, there's significant concentration there. And then when we did our initiative on Glenville, all of the small businesses that were part of that initiative have suffered. So there's a heavy concentration in that one spot. But so I think what you're seeing is where the heavy concentration of small businesses exists in the city of Cleveland. They're in little nodes. But as we roll out additional funding And as we look at those people who were not awarded in the first round, you will probably see that expansion of the geographical area of who gets assisted be greater. Director?
Yeah, thank you. I don't really have anything much more to add, but I just note that the awards broadly reflect the applications that were received throughout the city, that we've done a lot of outreach in different, through different partners and different community development corporations to get the word out, and we're still seeing applications come in from all areas of the city, and we're continuing to work to get this funding out the door. Thanks.
Great, thanks so much.
You have 2 questions remaining.
This is Buck Akes from Cleveland.com. I have a question on the assistance for businesses when they're damaged by the IRS. Is there a cap on how much money the city is willing to spend on that? You talked about caps to the businesses themselves, but is there a total pot of money that you don't want to exceed?
Well, to your question about is there a cap on the dollars for the civil unrest in terms of damages to businesses, we haven't put a cap on anything at this point, and I don't see us doing that if things are occurring the way we expect them to occur. As you know, the property owners probably do have insurance, but they have probably some deductibles. And there was border costs associated with that. We have some small businesses that receive damage to their business in terms of inventory or fixtures and stuff, and I would imagine that they also have some insurance coverage with some deductible associated with that. So what we're trying to do is help them in their out-of-pocket expense. Not to say 100% of that out-of-pocket expense, but to help them to be able to cover whatever costs and damages that they incurred. Director?
Thank you. Yes, we think we have resources to cover the people that were impacted as a result of the damages, and we're just looking to, we've done like I said, we've talked to about 70, 75 businesses. So we have a decent idea of what the need is out there, and we're going to start getting the applications in, like I mentioned, over the next week, and we'll start moving forward.
Thank you.
You have 1 question remaining.
Hi, Mayor. This is Mark again from True News. Last question for me.
Yes.
You mentioned in your first teleconference at the unrest 2 weeks ago that there were some lessons learned, as there always are in these events. With some time and distance now, what are those lessons? What changes might be ahead for how you respond? Thank you.
Well, that is a question that myself and the chief are discussing now, and what the normal process would be in regards to this is that there will be a debriefing of the command staff of the police division and those field commanders who are out on the field. And so with that debriefing, there will be some conversation around where they believe that we did not do something in a timely manner or sufficiently do something or around deployment, whatever it may be. They will bring that back to the chief, and during their debriefing portion of this, once we get past this moment, I believe the chief will probably schedule it. It hasn't scheduled. If he hasn't, he will schedule it within the very near future. And then once that happens, he will come back to me and report to me as to what that debriefing resulted in terms of where his people, not only the command staff, but the field commanders that were on the street, as to what their opinion or their suggestions would be moving forward. But we do not have it right now, and I don't want to get ahead of them. I don't want to get ahead of them. you know, I have my notions, of course, because I was at the command center and every day to early mornings of the night, and was pretty much privileged to all of the communications going back and forth. And the chief and I have had discussions, but I don't want to get ahead of the chief in terms of him doing some debriefing with his people.
Thank you.
Okay.
You have 0 questions remaining.
0 questions remaining. We'll wait maybe about 10, 15 seconds to see if somebody has a thought that they may want to ask.
You have 0 questions remaining.
All right, 0 questions still remaining. Look, I tell you how much I appreciate you dialing in. Again, if you need clarification on things, just ask. We'll give it to you. And we anticipate we'll be having more of these as we move not only through these programs that we've announced today, but as Mark Namick mentioned, as we get some feedback on our debriefing as to what lessons have we learned and what will we do going forward. So thank you very much. Thank you.